Hey guys, tonight we're going to slip back in time, drifting across the waters of an ancient lake where the Aztec capital once stood. You're on foot, your sandals sinking slightly into the damp causeway that snakes out across the glittering expanse of Lake Texcoco. The air is heavy with the scent of mud and wet reeds, and every step carries a soft slap, a gentle reminder that you're balancing on something more fragile than solid ground. You're surrounded by the low hum of insects and the occasional splash of a fish breaking the surface, thing more than a ripple in the vast lake, but enough to make you glance over your shoulder. You probably won't survive this if you lose your footing here, just saying. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is, because I'm always curious to see how far this sleepy journey reaches. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You walk slowly, the water glimmering beneath the twilight sky. It's almost hard to believe that this is the heart of an empire. The causeway itself is an engineering marvel piled up with rocks and mud, solid enough for armies to march across. But tonight, it's just you, alone, feeling the cold seep up from the lake through the stones. Ahead, the city of Tenochtitlan rises like a mirage. White temples catch the last glow of the sun, and you can almost see the flicker of torches from the priests performing evening rituals. But your eyes are drawn to something else entirely, the floating green islands that drift lazily across the water's edge. These are the Chinampas, the so-called floating gardens of the Aztecs. They look almost magical in the dimming light narrow rectangles of dark, rich earth, edged with wooden frames and covered in plants that seem to spill right into the lake itself. You can't help but wonder how they stay afloat. From here, it's like watching entire fields rise and fall with the slow breath of the water, drifting just enough to make you question whether you're dreaming or just tired. A warm breeze brushes past your face, carrying with it the earthy scent of growing things beans, maize, squash, their green leaves rustling in a soft hush. You pause at the water's edge, watching as a farmer in a canoe poles himself along the canal. He dips the paddle in slowly, barely making a ripple, moving through the green tunnels between Chinampas as if the water itself is part of the land. You see his basket piled high with small white flowers, probably cempasúchil, the marigolds that glow like tiny suns even in this fading light. Historians still argue whether these flowers were mostly for market or for offerings to the gods. Maybe it's both. In this world, everything seems to blur together. The sacred and the everyday, the water and the land. As you stand there, you can almost feel the weight of history pressing in around you. It's not just a garden, it's a heartbeat. These Chinampas have been here for centuries, longer than any of the roads or the palaces you might have seen on a quick trip to Mexico City today. And yet, they're fragile. Even now, the lake laps gently at their edges, as if testing whether it might one day reclaim them entirely. A single misstep and you'd be in the water, floundering among the lily roots and the coiling stems of water hyacinths. You walk on, feeling the path narrow as it snakes between the water and the sky. The Chinampas seem to multiply here, little green rafts tied together with living cords of willow and reed. Some are nothing more than small plots, tended by families who sing as they work, their voices soft and low in the gathering night. Others stretch, as far as you can see, long ribbons of green that glow faintly in the moonlight. You can't help but feel a little jealous. Imagine having a garden that rocks you to sleep each night, the water murmuring all around you like a lullaby. A dragonfly skims past your cheek, its wings catching the last gold of the sun. You brush it away absently, eyes still fixed on the endless rows of green. There's something hypnotic about them, something that makes you want to lie down right there and let the water cradle you until morning, but you keep walking. The causeway is narrow, and you can't help but feel the pull of the city ahead, a place of temples and markets, of obsidian knives and chocolate-sweetened dreams. One of the farmers looks up as you pass, his eyes crinkling in a tired smile. He lifts a hand in greeting, then goes back to his work. His canoe is piled with fresh green chayote, a kind of squash that you've probably seen in the grocery store, but never like this. So green it seems to glow, slick with lake water that drips in soft taps on the wooden hull. You can almost taste it, sweet and watery, a bite of the lake itself. You step carefully over a slick patch of stone, your toes curling for balance. The water below is dark now, the moon glimmering in each tiny wave. It's easy to forget how deep it is, how much life moves in that murky world. Fish dart through the roots of the Chinampas, their silver scales flickering in the light. Insects hum above, weaving invisible patterns that shift and blur as you blink. For a moment, you stop to watch a small shrine perched on the edge of a garden. A few flowers lie there, bright orange and yellow, their petals already beginning to wilt in the cool night air. A clay figure sits at the center, half hidden in the shadows of frog, or maybe a tiny god, grinning up at you with an expression that's both welcoming and unsettling. You smile back, feeling a sudden kinship with that crooked little statue. After all, you're both just drifting here, part of this floating world. As the night deepens, the city lights of Tenochtitlan twinkle across the water. But for now, you're content to walk slowly, feeling each breath of wind, each soft slap of water against the causeway. You're in no rush. The Chinampas will be here tomorrow, and the day after that, as long as the lake still dreams beneath them. You keep moving forward, your feet almost slipping on the worn stones of the causeway. The air is cooler now, a soft chill that makes you shiver and pull your cloak tighter. The lake is a mirror, reflecting the winking stars above and the flickering torchlight of distant homes. But your eyes stay fixed on the Chinampas, those curious floating islands that seem to defy every natural rule you've ever known. You pause to watch as a group of farmers work by torchlight, their laughter drifting across the water. One man is weaving together long, slender reeds, bending them into a tight, rectangular frame. It looks impossibly delicate, but you know better these frames will soon cradle life itself. You step closer, your breath misting in the cool night air, and watch the dance of light and shadow as he binds the reeds with strips of willow. It's patient work, the kind that can't be rushed, and you marvel at how each piece fits snugly together, no gaps, no wasted motion. Once the frame is ready, he and his companions carry it down to the water's edge. They lower it gently, and it floats there, bobbing in the gentle current. It's almost comical, this flimsy rectangle of sticks drifting across the lake like a child's toy boat. But you know this is the first step to something miraculous. With slow, deliberate movements, they begin layering it with mud. Thick, black silt from the lake bottom, heavy and wet. You can almost feel the weight of it in your own hands, slick and cold, smelling of earth and water. They work in silence now, lost in the rhythm of the task, each handful of mud carefully pressed into place. A soft squelch, a gentle sigh of water as it takes the weight and settles in. You crouch down, fingers brushing the edge of the raft. It's shockingly solid, even at this stage. The reeds weave together like fingers lacing, and the mud finds every crack, sealing it tight. You can feel the life already stirring beneath your fingertips, the potential for green shoots and tender roots. It's almost enough to make you believe in magic. But the real secret isn't the mud alone. As the farmers work, they weave in other things, water lilies, their broad leaves like shields against the sun, twisted roots of willow that will eventually anchor the whole structure to the lake bed. It's a quiet symphony of life, each piece playing its part in this floating world. Historians still argue whether this practice started as an emergency measure land in short supply, a hungry city needing food, or whether it was always meant to be something more, something that blurred the line between land and water, life and death. You watch as the raft grows heavier, the mud layers thickening, the water lilies tucked in like soft pillows. Eventually, they begin to plant tiny green shoots that look so delicate in the moonlight, but will soon tower above your head. Maize, beans, squash, chili scraps, chosen not just for their taste, but for the way they work together. The maize grows tall, the beans climb up its sturdy stalks, and the squash sprawls across the ground, shading the roots and keeping the soil moist. It's a perfect partnership, one that took centuries to perfect but worked so effortlessly it seems like it was always meant to be. You reach down and scoop up a handful of the rich, dark soil. It's cool and heavy, and you can't help but grin at the thought of what it can do. It's almost laughable to think of your own houseplants back home, struggling along in their little pots, no water, no whisper of lake breeze. Here, the plants have everything they need. They drink from the lake, pull nutrients from the mud, and sway gently with the water's movement. You can see why the Aztecs believed these gardens were a gift from the gods. You straighten up, your knees cracking softly, and keep walking. The farmers are done for the night, their tools set aside, their canoes drifting back to the shore. You watch them go, the soft slap of the water against the wooden hulls a lullaby that echoes in your bones. You're left alone with the Chinampas, the faint rustle of leaves, and the cool kiss of night air on your cheeks. As you wander deeper into this floating world, you start to notice the small details. The way the willows lean over the water, their silver leaves catching the starlight, the smell of damp earth mixed with something sweet and floral hint of wild marigold, maybe, or the soft perfume of night-blooming jasmine. You trail your fingers through the water, watching the ripples fade out into the darkness. At one point, you pass a half-finished Chinampa, the frame still bare and waiting. You can see how the layers build up, reeds and willow, mud and muck, each one adding strength and life. It's a process that's been going on for centuries, each new garden built on the bones of the old. There's a quiet poetry in that, a sense of continuity that makes you feel oddly at peace. And then there are the frogs. You hear them first, their low, lazy croaks that echo across the water. You see them next, fat and content, perched on the edges of the Chinampas like little green kings. One of them jumps as you pass, plopping into the water with a splash that breaks the calm. You can't help but smile. In this world, even the frogs seem to have found their place, their small voices blending into the night. You keep walking, the soft lap of water your only companion. The Chinampas stretch out in every direction now, a patchwork of green and brown that seems to go on forever. You know that in the daylight they'll be bustling with life farmers and traders, children and dogs, all moving through the water like it's just another road. But for now, it's just you and the quiet, the gentle rhythm of the floating gardens beneath your feet. You pause one last time, looking out over the lake. The city of Tenochtitlan glows faintly in the distance, but here, in the Chinampas, the world feels older and softer. You take a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill your lungs, and step forward once more, ready to see what else this floating garden has to show you. The night deepens around you, turning the water to ink and the Chinampas to shadows. Your steps slow, the hush of the lake becoming almost hypnotic. It feels like you're gliding, each footstep a small ripple in a world that's half real, half dream. But even in this quiet darkness, life stirs. You drift past a small shrine, a simple affair of stones and clay figures tucked into the roots of a willow. Flickering candles cast long shadows over offerings. Bits of food, bright flowers, and tiny clay bowls filled with water. You can almost hear the soft murmurs of prayer lingering in the air, spoken by farmers long gone home for the night. The Chinampas aren't just fields, they're sanctuaries. Every floating garden carries a whisper of devotion to the lake and the gods that watch over it. You pause to listen. Somewhere in the darkness, a flute sings, its soft notes winding between the willows. It's a sound so gentle it feels like it might slip away if you breathe too hard. The music isn't for you, but you can't help feeling comforted by it, like a lullaby from a world you're only just beginning to understand. Historians still argue whether these songs were part of formal rituals or just the farmers passing time, their melodies weaving into the night air along with the scent of wet earth and sweet, green things. The Chinampas sway ever so slightly beneath the weight of the night. You wonder if the people here ever feared the lake would swallow them whole. After all, it's a thin line between water and land, between life and the deep unknown. But then you remember the quiet strength of those woven frames, the patient layering of mud and lilies. Maybe it's the faith in that weaving that keeps everything afloat. You step carefully across a narrow plank bridge, your sandals scraping softly against the wood. Beneath you, the water gleams silver in the moonlight, and you catch sight of a turtle paddling lazily by. It glances up at you, unbothered, then disappears beneath the Chinampa's edge. Even the turtles seem to know this place belongs to them. The scent of wood smoke drifts by on the breeze, carrying with it the memory of small cooking fires. You can almost taste the warmth of tamales steaming in clay pots, the soft sweetness of roasted maize. Your stomach growls in sympathy, but you know better than to search for a midnight meal here. This is the time for resting, for listening, for letting the lake speak in its own language. You find yourself by a chinampa where the plants grow thick and lush, their leaves heavy with dew. A man is kneeling there, half hidden in the shadows, his hands pressed together in quiet prayer. You watch him for a moment, his back straight, his head bowed, and you wonder what he's asking for. Rain for his crops, maybe. Safe passage through the canals. Or perhaps just a moment of peace in this world that seems to spin so fast even here on the water. He stands and sees you watching, his smile warm and a little shy. He gestures to the garden with a sweep of his hand, a silent invitation to see what he's made here. You step closer and see the small offerings he's tucked among the beans and chilies, a smooth stone, a sprig of fresh herbs, a tiny feather tied with a strip of reed. The line between farming and worship is thin here, almost invisible. Every planting, every harvest is a prayer, and every chinampa is a place where the gods might pause to rest. You move on, your thoughts slow and drifting. The chinampas are so much more than farmland. They're floating altars, cradling life in a delicate balance. The Aztecs believed the lake itself was alive, a vast spirit that demanded respect and tribute. In return, it gave them these islands of plenty, these gardens that floated like green dreams. A small bird flits past your ear, so fast it's gone before you can turn your head. The night air smells sweet and damp, the scent of crushed leaves and clean water. You wonder if the Aztec priests ever walked here at night, their feathered cloaks whispering in the darkness, their minds heavy with omens and the weight of the city's fate. Maybe they too paused to touch the water, to feel the pulse of life beneath their fingers. You catch sight of another small shrine, this one built from sun-dried bricks and roofed with thatch. A clay pot of water sits at its base, the surface reflecting the stars in tiny shimmering dots. You crouch down to peer at the offerings, a few kernels of maize, a carved wooden figure with a serene smile, and something stranger, a small, dark lump that you realize, with a start, is crocodile dung. A fringe tidbit perhaps, but Yesem believed it had protective power, a little offering to keep the waters calm and the crops green. You try not to wrinkle your nose as you stand up again, the scent lingering in the still air. The flute music fades, replaced by the soft murmur of water lapping against the chinampa's edges. You feel a hush settle over the gardens, as if even the frogs have decided it's time to sleep. The night is deep now, the sky a rich, velvety black that makes the stars look like pinpricks of silver fire. You let out a breath you didn't know you were holding and keep walking. The chinampas stretch on, each one a testament to patient hands and quiet faith. You feel a kind of reverence here, a softness in the air that makes you want to whisper, though there's no one to hear. You're part of this world now, even if only for a momentary intruder, but a gentle one. And so you drift, step by step, letting the water cradle your thoughts and the gentle sway of the chinampas rock you closer to sleep. You don't know where this path will end, but for now, that doesn't matter. All that matters is the soft breath of the lake, the rustle of green leaves, and the quiet certainty that here, between water and sky, you are safe. Your eyes have grown used to the shifting darkness, and you walk on, the cool night air curling around you like a whisper. The chinampas seem to stretch endlessly, each one a patchwork of green and shadow, floating so delicately you half expect them to drift away if you stop watching. But there's nothing fragile in the way they feed an empire. You come to a place where the gardens are alive with the hush of growing things. Even in the dim light, you can make out the rows of maize, their stalks taller than your head, leaves rustling softly in the night breeze. Beans twine around them, their thin tendrils reaching for the sky. And beneath, squash plants sprawl wide and green, their broad leaves sheltering the soil from the heat of the day. It's a living tapestry, each plant lending strength to the others. A farmer stands waist deep in the water at the edge of the chinampa, his hands busy with a net. You watch as he hauls it in, small fish flickering silver in the torchlight. There's a quiet satisfaction in his movements. No hurry, no waste. He empties the net into a shallow basket and pushes it into his canoe, then paddles slowly along the narrow canal, his face calm in the glow of the lantern at his bow. You wonder if he's thinking of the meal waiting at home, or perhaps of the taxes he'll owe when the tribute collectors make their rounds. Historians still argue whether the tribute demanded from these gardens was a burden or a point of pride for the Aztecs. The air smells rich and loamy, the scent of earth mixed with the faint tang of lake water. You reach down to brush your fingertips over the squash leaves, the dew clinging cool and heavy to your skin. It's a simple thing, but it grounds you in this place of endless green, this world that seems to exist outside of time. You keep walking, passing between rows of Chinampas. Some farmers are still awake, their voices low and companionable in the darkness. They pause to greet each other, exchanging quiet words and small bundles of good chilies wrapped in leaves, fresh herbs, still damp from the lake. You see a woman bent over a basket of amaranth greens, her hands moving with gentle precision as she plucks out the tender shoots. There's a soft dignity in the way she works. Her focus unbroken even as you pass by. In the distance, the temples of Tenochtitlan rise above the water like pale ghosts. Their white stone steps gleam faintly in the moonlight, reminders of the city's power and hunger. You can almost hear the echo of drums, the chants of priests as they call for rain or victory. But here, in the quiet of the Chinampas, those voices seem far away, nothing more than a faint memory carried on the wind. You pause at the edge of a wide canal, the water black and still. A trader's canoe drifts past, piled high with woven baskets brimming with producer chilies that glow like embers, golden maize cobs stacked like treasure, dark green avocados cradled in soft reeds. The trader nods as he passes, his paddle dipping silently in the water. You wonder where he's headed, perhaps to the market at dawn, or to some distant island where he'll trade these goods for obsidian blades or bright feathers. It's a silent economy, built on the gentle sway of the lake and the careful tending of each Chinampa. The Aztecs called these floating gardens fields of the gods, and you can see why. There's something almost divine in their quiet abundance, something that hums just below the surface of each green leaf and each flicker of water. You cross another narrow bridge, the wood worn smooth by countless footsteps. The planks creak softly beneath your weight, but you trust them just as the farmers trust the lake to hold their floating fields. At the far end, you find an old man seated on a low stool, his hands busy weaving a small basket. His fingers move with a slow, practiced grace, the reeds bending to his will with each careful tug. He looks up as you approach, his eyes crinkling in a smile. Without a word, he holds out the basket for you to see. It's beautiful in its simplicity, the pattern tight, and even the reeds shining pale in the lantern light. You nod your thanks, and he chuckles softly, returning to his work. There's no rush here, no sharp edges to the night, just the slow rhythm of weaving and growing, of water lapping gently against the Chinampas. You keep walking, your own breath slowing to match the easy pulse of this place. The path narrows, and you find yourself surrounded by the low hum of insects, their music weaving through the night like a second skin. A bat flits past your shoulder, so close you can feel the brush of air from its wings. You smile, feeling the small thrill of sharing the night with such silent company. The Chinampas seem to glow softly in the moonlight, their edges blurred where the water laps at the reeds. You pass a patch of bright green episode, the sharp scent of it catching you by surprise. A fringe tidbit. Some believe this pungent herb could chase away spirits real or imagined. You breathe in deeply, the scent earthy and sharp, and feel a moment of clarity as you walk on. Somewhere ahead, a coyote howls, the sound long and low, echoing across the still water. It's a lonely song, but not a sad one. You pause, listening as the last note fades into the darkness, then step forward again, your feet finding their way with quiet confidence. You've seen enough tonight to know this place is more than just farmland. It's a living promise, a quiet pact between the people and the lake. In the soft darkness, the Chinampas sway gently, cradling dreams and green life in equal measure. And as you walk on, the rhythm of the lake becomes your own slow, steady, eternal. The air grows colder as you walk deeper into the tangle of canals. The moon hangs high now, a perfect silver coin in a velvet sky, and you pause to watch its reflection ripple on the water's surface. The Chinampas glow faintly in the soft light, like islands of green drifting in a sea of ink. It's so still here that even your own breath feels too loud, a warm mist in the cool night. But the water is never truly still. You hear it, a constant murmur beneath the hush of the night-soft splashes, where fish break the surface, the gentle lap of waves against the wooden frames of the gardens. It's a reminder that this lake, beautiful and calm, can turn fierce in an instant. Historians still argue whether the Aztecs feared the lake's sudden storms or saw them as a gift from the gods, a necessary fury to feed the endless hunger of the city. You come to a place where the canal widens, the water so dark it seems to swallow the moon. A canoe floats there, tied to a leaning willow. In it, a young woman sits, her eyes half closed as she hums a low song. Her paddle rests across her knees, forgotten for the moment, and you watch her for a while, the melody rising and falling with the quiet breath of the lake. She opens her eyes and sees you, her smile soft and knowing. With a small gesture, she invites you to sit on the edge of the Chinampa. You lower yourself slowly, feeling the earth shift slightly beneath you, the faintest sway that makes your pulse quicken. But the garden holds firm, cradled by roots and willows and the weight of centuries. She points to the water, where the moon dances in broken circles. It's life and death, she says softly, her voice barely louder than the breeze. We drink from it, we feed from it, but it can swallow us whole if we forget to be humble. You nod, the truth of her words sinking into you like the lake's cold breath. She tells you how the farmers use the lake not just for water, but as a way to keep the Chinampas alive. The canals are lifelines, carrying water to the roots, but also carrying away the salt that would kill the crops if it built up unchecked. She describes how they cut small channels in the gardens, letting the water flow through, always in motion, always balancing life against the quiet threat of decay. You dip your fingers in the water, feeling its cool weight, and wonder at the quiet genius of it all. No tractors, no irrigation, pumps just mud, reeds, and a faith in the rhythm of the earth and water. It's so simple, so obvious in a way that makes you smile and shake your head. All this time, and still, it works. She laughs, a soft sound that carries across the water. You look surprised, she teases. But this is old magic. Older than the city, older than the gods, maybe. You smile back, feeling the chill of the night soften around you. She points out the rows of maize and chilies, the dark green of amaranth leaves glistening with dew. These are our children, she says. We tend them like family. Every seed is a prayer. Every harvest, a blessing. You watch her hands move as she speaks, strong and sure, and you feel a pang of envy for that quiet certainty. A frog croaks nearby, its voice deep and steady. She glances at it and laughs again. They're our companions too, she says. They keep the mosquitoes away, most of them, anyway. You both chuckle at that, the sound soft and fleeting in the night. She dips her hand into the water and lifts a small fish, its silver scales flashing in the moonlight. Even the fish feed us, she says. The lake is generous, but only if we listen to it. She releases the fish gently, and it vanishes into the darkness with barely a ripple. You sit there in the hush, the water lapping softly against the Chinampa's edge. For a moment, you close your eyes and let the rhythm of it all wash over you. The quiet breath of the lake, the faint rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird. It's a lullaby in a language older than words, and you feel yourself slipping deeper into its gentle pull. The woman stands, her canoe swaying softly in the water. She nods once more, a silent farewell, then pushes off into the darkness, her paddle dipping in slow, graceful arcs. You watch her go, the faint glow of her lantern fading until it's just another flicker in the night. You rise and keep walking, the water whispering at your heels. The Chinampas stretch on, a green labyrinth that seems to have no end. You pass a small plot where someone has planted bright marigolds, their orange heads glowing like tiny suns in the darkness. A fringe tidbit floats into your mind. The Aztecs believed these flowers could guide the spirits of the dead back to the world of the living. You wonder if the flowers are watching you now, their bright faces a promise that even in the dark something warm and alive remains. The night air is heavy with the scent of wet earth and growing things. You pause to breathe it in, feeling the damp chill settle into your bones. There's a kind of peace here, a quiet so complete it feels like the world has stopped turning for a while. You walk on, the water at your side, the Chinampas steady beneath your feet. Each step feels softer, slower, as if the night itself is urging you to move carefully, to honor the fragile magic that keeps these floating gardens alive. You don't rush. There's no need. Here, time seems to stretch out like the canals, winding endlessly through the dark. And so you go, step by slow step, the moon, your only witness, the lake, your quiet guide. The floating gardens breathe around you, alive with the pulse of water and the whisper of growing things, and you walk on, trusting the soft darkness to carry you forward. The hush of the night has become a companion, wrapping around you like a soft blanket as you slip deeper into the heart of the Chinampas. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth and sweet flowers, each breath a quiet celebration of life hidden in the dark. You kneel at the edge of a Chinampa, your fingers sinking into the soft, black soil. It's cool and yielding, the kind of earth that smells of rain and dreams. You rub a bit of it between your fingertips, marveling at how it clings and crumbles all at once. This is the secret, you think, the living skin of the Chinampa, fed by the lake and tended by countless patient hands. A farmer appears beside you, his face lined and kind in the lantern light. He kneels too, his gnarled fingers deft as he teases apart the soil, showing you the tiny roots that twine like threads beneath the surface. "It's alive," he says softly, his voice low and rough as the water itself. "Always moving, always feeding the plants, feeding us." You nod, feeling the truth of it in your bones. He reaches into a woven basket and pulls out a handful of small worms, their pale bodies wriggling in the flickering light. "These are the workers," he tells you with a small smile. "They chew through the mud, make it rich. Without them, nothing grows." You watch as he scatters the worms back into the soil, each one disappearing in a tiny wriggle of movement. Historians still argue whether the Aztecs understood the true science behind these worms and the living soil. Some say it was instinct, others say it was wisdom handed down like a prayer. But standing here, feeling the pulse of life in the soil, you're sure they knew enough that this was no accident, but a careful tending of the world's smallest workers. The farmer stands and gestures for you to follow. He leads you to the edge of the Chinampa, where the water laps softly against the mud walls. He cups a handful of the lake water and lets it trickle slowly through his fingers. "This is the other secret," he says, his eyes crinkling in the glow of the lantern. "The water carries more than fish. It brings life minerals, tiny creatures you can't even see, all feeding the roots, feeding us." You watch as he stirs the water with the reed, tiny ripples catching the moonlight. You remember the woman in the canoe, her words about the balance of salt and life. You wonder how many times these farmers have watched the water flow, patient as the seasons, learning its moods and secrets with each quiet dawn. He bends to show you another basket, filled with dark, crumbling lumps. "Mud from the lake," he says, "mixed with water lilies, reeds, even the dung of crocodiles." You blink, taken aback by that last bit, and he chuckles softly. "It's true. Crocodile dungrage and full of things that feed the soil. The old ones knew it, and so do we." You try not to wrinkle your nose, though the scent is sharp and green, a reminder that life and death are never far apart in this place. The farmer's eyes are gentle as he hands you a small clump of the dark mix. It's warm from the basket, earthy and alive. You hold it for a moment, feeling the weight of centuries in your palm. This isn't just dirt, it's history, carefully tended and quietly powerful. You walk on, the farmer's quiet wisdom lingering like the scent of the lake. You find yourself at the edge of a wide canal where the moonlight turns the water to silver. A small fish leaps, breaking the perfect reflection, and you smile at the simplicity of it. Here, even the smallest movements feel sacred. The Chinampas spread out around you, each one a small kingdom of green. You pause to watch a woman wade through the shallows, her arms filled with bundles of cut greens. She moves slowly, her feet sure and steady in the dark water. She doesn't hurry here, nothing is rushed. You wonder if she's thinking of the meal she'll cook with those greens, or perhaps the quiet song she'll hum to herself as she works. The night air hums with insects, a low music that seems to rise from the very soil. You breathe it in, feeling it settle in your chest like a slow heartbeat. There's no sharpness here, no hurry. Just the soft exhale of the lake, the quiet miracle of green life held aloft by mud and water. You crouch at the edge of another garden, your fingers sinking again into the rich soil. A fringe tidbit crosses your mind. Some of the old farmers swore that the Chinampa soil never truly died, that it held the memory of every harvest, every prayer whispered to the water. You press your palm flat against the earth, feeling the faint warmth of life below. A willow leans out over the water, its silver leaves catching the moonlight like a net of stars. You watch as a small bird flutters up to perch in the branches, its bright eyes glinting as it sings a soft, sleepy song. The sound is like a secret shared between the night and the lake, and you listen with a quiet reverence. You stand slowly, your knees creaking in the hush. The farmer has disappeared into the darkness, his lantern just another flicker among the stars. You feel a pang of gratitude for his silent lessons, for the gift of seeing this place through his eyes, even if only for a moment. And so you walk on, the soil still clinging to your fingers, the water whispering softly at your side. Each step is a promise, a quiet vow to honor the life that grows here, fed by the patient hands of those who understand the secrets of mud and water and the fragile threads that tie them together. The Chinampas sigh in the darkness, alive with the breath of the lake and the gentle hum of growing things. You walk slowly, your thoughts as soft as the night air, and let the quiet rhythm of this floating world rock you closer to sleep. The night air is alive with the whisper of water and the low murmur of voices as you walk deeper into the maze of Chinampas. The scent of damp earth clings to you, and you find yourself breathing in the quiet sweetness of green life at every step. The world around you is hushed, but not empty. There's a gentle energy here, a sense of people moving through the darkness with quiet purpose. You pause at a small landing where a trader's canoe is moored, its wooden hull painted with bright, fading patterns. The trader is a broad-shouldered man with a wide-brimmed hat, his face lost in shadow. He leans over a bundle of goods, his hands quick and deft as he counts out small clay jars filled with honey and chilies. You watch the dance of his fingers, the careful way he handles each item, and you wonder how many nights he spent on these quiet canals, ferrying the bounty of the Chinampas from one island to another. He looks up and catches your eye, his smile quick and warm. "Late night for trading," he says, his voice low and easy. But the lake never sleeps. You nod, and he laughs softly. You look like you're drifting too. Careful, these waters have a way of carrying you off if you're not paying attention. You laugh back, the sound soft and warm in the cool night. He offers you a small pot of honey, its surface glinting gold in the lamplight. You take it carefully, feeling the weight of it in your hand. The sticky sweetness that promises more than just a taste, it's a reminder that even in the darkness, there's always something bright to be found. As you walk on, the canals become narrower, their banks crowded with life. You see a small family huddled in a boat, the father pulling slowly along as the children lean over the edge, peering into the water with bright, curious eyes. Their laughter is soft but bright, like fireflies in the night. You smile at the sight, feeling the quiet joy of their journey echo in your own steps. The Chinampas are alive with voices, each one weaving into the next like a tapestry of quiet conversation. A woman calls out a greeting as she paddles past, her boat piled high with squash blossoms and bundles of amaranth greens. A young boy leans over the edge of his canoe, carefully untangling a fishing line from the water's edge. You catch snippets of gossip and laughter, the gentle rhythm of trade and chatter that ties this floating world together. Historians still argue whether these canals were just roads or something Mauryan invisible net that held the city's life together. As you watch the boats glide past, each one a tiny island of light and movement, you're sure it's both. This is no ordinary street, no ordinary market. It's a world of water and whispers, of goods and dreams drifting side by side. You pause at the edge of a Chinampa, where a man and his wife are busy weaving baskets. Their hands move in perfect harmony, the reeds bending and twisting beneath their fingers. You crouch to watch, the quiet scratch of the weaving blending with the gentle splash of water against the shore. They don't speak, but their smiles are soft and sure, their movements a language older than words. Nearby, a trader ties up his canoe, his voice low as he barters with another man for a basket of chilies. The conversation is easy, a gentle back and forth that ends with a quiet laugh and a handshake. You watch as the goods change hands, the small bundles of green and red passing from one canoe to the next like a dance. A fringe tidbit flickers in your mind. Some of the older traders swear that the best deals are struck at night, when the moon's light makes even the hardest bargainers soft. Maybe it's true, you think. As you watch them, there's a kind of magic in the darkness, a quiet trust that the lake itself seems to share. You keep walking, the voices fading and rising around you like a tide. The Chinampas narrow again, the path twisting between low walls of earth and reeds. You pause to let a boat pass, its prow cutting through the water with a soft hiss. The man in the boat lifts a hand in greeting, and you nod back, the silent exchange as comforting as an old friend's voice. The air is heavy with the scent of maize and night-blooming flowers. You breathe it in deeply, feeling it settle in your chest like a promise. Here, in the hush of the canals, the world feels slower, each breath a small prayer of gratitude. You smile to yourself, letting the night carry you forward on its gentle tide. You find yourself at a small dock where two young men are unloading bundles of fresh herbs. Their hands move quickly, the bright green leaves catching the lamplight as they sort them into neat piles. One of them looks up and grins. "Care for a sprig of epazote?" he asks with a wink. "Keeps the spirits away, or so my grandmother says." You laugh softly and take the offered sprig, its sharp scent waking your senses like a sudden breeze. You walk on, the sprig tucked behind your ear, a small talisman against the shadows. The canals wind on, the voices of traders and farmers weaving around you like a lullaby. You're not in a hurry. No one is here. The water moves at its own pace, and you're content to drift along with it, step by slow step. The night deepens, the stars bright and cold above the black water. You feel the quiet joy of it settle into your bones, a gentle hum that carries you forward. The floating gardens breathe around you, alive with the soft rustle of green leaves and the warm murmur of voices. And as you walk on, you know that in this world of water and quiet trade, every step is a journey, every breath, a gentle promise of life. The water is still and black as you walk on, your feet carrying you deeper into the labyrinth of green. The Chinampas glow softly in the moonlight, their edges blurred where the willows dip low, their silver leaves whispering secrets to the night. You feel the quiet weight of history around you, as if every ripple in the water carries a memory of those who have walked this path before. You pass a wide Chinampa where a group of farmers sits together, their laughter low and warm. A small fire crackles in a clay brazier, the glow painting their faces in flickering gold. They're sharing a simple meal: tortillas wrapped in cloth, small bowls of beans and chilies, the scent of roasted maize sweet and smoky in the cool air. One of them glances up as you pass, his eyes crinkling in a smile. "Sit a while," he says, his voice rough but kind. "There's always enough for one more." You nod your thanks but keep walking, the warmth of their fire a bright spot in the dark. Ahead, you see a figure moving slowly through the shallows, his back bent beneath a bundle of reeds. His steps are measured, each footfall placed carefully in the soft mud. You watch as he pauses to straighten, his breath steaming in the night air. He's part of the quiet rhythm, here one small link in the endless chain of work and rest that binds this world together. A pair of tribute collectors appear from the darkness, their canoes sliding silently across the water. Their faces are sharp in the lamplight, their eyes quick and watchful as they pause to speak with a farmer at the edge of a Chinampa. You catch only a few word sallies of baskets, promises of payment, but you can feel the weight of it all. Historians still argue whether these tribute collectors were fair or cruel, but tonight they seem almost like ghosts, gliding through the darkness with the cold certainty of duty. You move past them, your steps slow and careful. The air feels different here, thicker somehow, as if the water itself is listening. You remember that the empire was built on the bounty of these gardens every ear of maize, every chili pepper a small tribute to the great city at the lake's heart. You wonder how it must have felt to watch the tribute boats slide away, heavy with the fruits of your labor, knowing that the empire's hunger was as endless as the lake itself. A man stands at the edge of a chinampa, his hands deep in a basket of bright red chilies. His face is lined, but his eyes are sharp, watchful as he sorts through the harvest. He glances at you and smiles, a small, wry grin. "The tribute doesn't stop for night," he says, his voice quiet but sure. "The empire always wants more." You nod, feeling the truth of it settle in your chest, like a small stone. He lifts a handful of chilies, their bright skins gleaming in the lamplight. "But the earth gives, too," he says, his tone softer. "And we're part of that. The lake feeds us all." You watch him set the chilies carefully back in the basket, his hands gentle despite the hard edges of empire and tribute. There's a quiet pride in his movements, a sense that even in the shadow of the city's demands, there's dignity in each seed sown, each crop gathered. You keep moving, the tribute collector's voices fading behind you. The path twists and narrows, the water lapping softly at your feet. You pause to watch a young girl gather wild greens at the edge of the Chinampa, her small hands quick and sure in the moonlight. She hums a song you don't know, her voice weaving into the night like a soft spell. You smile at her, and she grins back, the joy of her work bright in her eyes. The air grows cooler as you walk, the scent of the lake sharp and clean. A fringe tidbit floats into your mind. Some believe that the tribute boats were guided by the spirits of the lake, their silent passage watched over by gods older than the empire itself. You can almost see them now, shadowy figures drifting just below the water's surface, their eyes bright and curious as they watch the harvest pass. You come to a place where the Chinampas open out into a wide clearing, the water still and black as polished obsidian. Here, the tribute is laid out in neat rose baskets of maize, piles of beans, bundles of herbs tied with strips of reed. It's a quiet offering, a testament to the patient work of countless hands. You pause to take it in, the soft glow of lanterns reflecting in the water, the hush of the lake as it cradles the night's labor. A small boat drifts past, its prow low with the weight of tribute. The man at the helm leans forward, his paddle moving in slow, steady strokes. He nods to you as he passes, his eyes dark and tired but proud. You nod back, the moment quiet and full, a small bridge of understanding across the darkness. You stand there for a while, watching the tribute boats slip away one by one, their wakes fading into the still water. The empire's hunger is endless, you think, but so is the lake's quiet bounty. In this place of floating gardens and patient hands, there's a kind of balancia, fragile peace that holds for now, cradled by the breath of water and the soft weight of growing things. And so you walk on, your steps slow and steady, the Chinampas murmur around you, alive with the quiet rustle of leaves and the gentle sigh of the lake. You let it all wash over you, the weight of tribute, the soft pulse of life, and feel the night settle deeper into your bones. The sky is beginning to pale at the edges as you walk on, the first hints of dawn turning the black water to a soft, dusky blue. You feel the subtle shift in the air, the promise of morning carried in the cool breath of the lake. The Chinampas are hushed in this in-between hour, the farmers' voices quiet, their movements gentle as they work beneath the fading stars. You pause to watch an old man crouched low among the maize, his hands moving in slow, practiced motions. He plucks away the withered leaves, his fingers sure and careful, the movements of someone who has done this 1,000 times before. You watch the small pile of green and gold grow at his side, each piece a quiet offering to the rhythm of the seasons. The sun is still hidden beyond the horizon, but you can feel its warmth waiting there, ready to spill across the water and set the Chinampas ablaze in light. You smile at the thought, at the way each day begins here, not with a sudden burst of noise, but with a gentle sigh of green life waking up to the dawn. You move on, your footsteps soft on the narrow paths. You see a young boy wading through the shallows, his small hands cupped around a frog that wriggles in the flickering light. He looks up at you with a grin, the joy of discovery bright in his eyes. He sings to the rain, he says, his voice full of wonder. When the clouds come, he calls them closer. You nod, enchanted by his quiet faith in the frog's secret magic. The air smells of wet earth and sweet flowers, the soft tang of lake water mingling with the scent of crushed leaves. You breathe it in deeply, letting it fill you with a calm that feels as endless as the lake itself. The world here is slow and patient, each breath measured, each moment a small miracle of green and water. A fringe tidbit drifts through your thoughts. Some of the oldest farmers believed the lake's breath carried secrets in the fog that rose at dawn. Maybe that's true, you think, as a thin mist begins to curl over the water, soft and white as milk. You watch it drift among the willows, wrapping the Chinampas in a hush that feels almost holy. The farmers move through the mist like shadows, their voices low as they share quiet greetings. You hear the soft slap of paddles in the water, the creak of wooden boats laden with the first harvest of the day. There's no rush here, just a slow dance of life rising with the sun, each movement a quiet promise of the day's beginning. You pass a Chinampa where the air is rich with the scent of squash blossoms. Their bright yellow heads tilt toward the east, already reaching for the light that spills across the water. Bees drift among them, their low hum weaving into the morning's quiet song. You pause to watch them work, their tiny bodies dusted in gold, the dance of life so small and so complete. A man stands at the edge of the water, his hands wrapped around a long pole that he uses to measure the lake's gentle rise and fall. He tells you how the lake's rhythm shapes the planting, how the rise of the water signals the time to sow, the time to reap. Historians still argue whether the Aztecs' calendars were just for temples or if they guided the farmers' hands too. Watching him work, you know the answer, it's all the same here. A cycle that ties each Chinampa to the lake, each life to the breath of water and sun. The mist begins to lift as the first rays of dawn break over the horizon, painting the world in soft gold and pink. The Chinampas seem to glow in that light, the green of their fields rich and deep, the water a shining mirror that reflects the promise of the day. You pause to watch the sunrise, the warmth of it soft on your face, and feel a quiet joy bloom in your chest. You hear a woman singing as she tends to a row of chilies, her voice low and sweet as she hums to the plants. It's an old song, you think, something passed down through the generations, like the weaving of the reeds, the layering of mud and lilies. You let her song wash over you, the melody gentle and strong, a thread that ties the dawn to the night and the earth to the sky. The world here is ancient and alive, each Chinampa a small floating testament to patience and care. You feel the weight of it in the air, the soft promise that the sun will rise and the water will flow, that the green life will reach for the light again and again, as long as the lake dreams beneath it all. You walk on, your steps light and unhurried, the hush of the morning settling around you like a blessing. The Chinampas sigh in the soft light, their green edges blurred with dew and the sweet breath of growing things. You know the day will bring work and sweat, laughter and quiet meals shared in the shade of the willows. But for now, there's only this moment, the soft light of dawn, the gentle rise of the lake, and the quiet song of life that drifts on the morning air. And so you keep walking, the promise of the day warm on your skin, the soft murmur of the lake, your constant companion. In this place of water and green, of patience and gentle beginnings, you find a peace that feels as deep and endless as the sky itself. The sun is climbing slowly now, washing the lake in pale gold that seems to reach into every corner of this floating world. You walk on, the water bright and clear, the Chinampas glowing green and alive in the soft light. It's a gentle morning, the kind that promises a day of slow work and quiet joys, and you breathe it in deeply, feeling it settle into your bones. But even as the sun warms your skin, a chill flickers through you at the thought of how this world once faced an ending. You see it in the shadows that linger in the narrow canals, in the stories that echo from the water's edge. You can almost hear the creak of foreign ships approaching, their sails white and alien against the dawn. Historians still argue whether the Aztecs saw them as omens or simply as men, but either way, the Chinampas would soon face something they had never known. You pause by a small shrine, its clay figure cracked, but still serene in the morning light. Flowers wilt at its base, bright petals gone soft and bruised. You touch the figure's shoulder, feeling the cool clay beneath your fingertips, and you wonder how many prayers were whispered here for protection, for the strength to endure what was coming. The birds still sing, the bees still dance among the blossoms, but you feel a hush beneath it, all a breath, held tight in the chest of the lake. You close your eyes and let the soft wind wash over you, carrying the scent of water and green things, and you wonder if the farmers felt it too, the quiet dread of an ending creeping closer with each new dawn. You see flashes of what it must have been, like the distant sails growing closer, the strange men stepping ashore, the clash of voices and the heavy thud of foreign boots on the soft, wet soil of the Chinampas. The world here was one of patience and balance, of quiet trade and slow, green growth. The sudden violence of conquest was a storm no one had planted for. You walk on, the water bright at your side, the green life of the Chinampas sighing softly, as if in memory. The farmers are at work again, their hands sure and steady even as the old stories cling like mist at the edges of their fields. A man bends low among the maize, his back straight despite the years. You watch him pause, to brush his hand over the young leaves, his eyes bright and focused in the light of the sun. In him, you see the quiet defiance of those who refuse to let the lake's promise be stolen. A young girl splashes in the shallows nearby, her laughter bright and free. She doesn't know the old storyish. He only knows the dance of water and sun, the sweetness of the lake's breath on her face. You watch her for a moment, feeling a smile tug at your lips. Even in the memory of invasion, there is this, the small, bright promise of life that refuses to fade. You pass a man in a canoe, his face hidden by the wide brim of his hat. His paddle dips in slow, steady strokes, the water parting gently around the hull. He pauses to glance at you, his eyes dark and knowing. The lake remembers, he says quietly, but it also forgives. You nod, the weight of his words settling into you like the soft hush of silt at the lake's bottom. A fringe tidbit flickers in your mind. Some say the Spanish tried to drain the lake, to claim the Chinampas for themselves. You look out at the green fields that drift on the water, and you can't help but feel the stubborn life in them, how even now they cling to the lake's breath, refusing to be swallowed by time or by empire. The path twists, and you find yourself in a place where the Chinampas narrow and the water grows wide. You see the ruins of an old watchtower, its stones weathered and worn by the centuries. Once, it must have stood tall against the sky, a promise of protection. Now, it leans into the soft embrace of the reeds, its walls crumbling but still there, a quiet witness to everything that has come and gone. The sun is high now, the light bright and warm on your face. You pause to watch a trader's canoe drift by, its prow low with the weight of fresh greens and small clay jars. The trader lifts a hand in greeting, his face open and kind. You smile back, feeling the warmth of the sun and the gentle sway of the water beneath you. You know that the conquest came, that the empire fell, that the floating gardens were nearly lost to the slow hunger of history. But here, in this quiet morning, you see that the Chinampas still breathe. The water still whispers, the green life still reaches for the light, and the people who tend it still walk with the quiet patience of those who understand that nothing truly ends as long as there is soil to hold and water to feed it. And so you walk on, your footsteps light and your breath deep and slow. The past is here, in the gentle rise and fall of the lake, in the soft rustle of maize and beans, in the quiet hum of bees among the blossoms. You feel it in every ripple of water, every breath of wind. The Chinampas are more than fields, they are a promise, a soft defiance that grows stronger with each new dawn. The sun is high above you now, warm and bright, its light turning the water to silver and the Chinampas to brilliant green tapestries that ripple with every breath of wind. You walk on slowly, each step a small celebration of the quiet resilience that clings to these floating gardens. The world around you hums with lifebirds flitting through the willows, insects buzzing in lazy circles, the soft rustle of maize leaves in the breeze. You pause at the edge of a wide canal the water so clear you can see the shadows of fish drifting below. A young woman kneels at the water's edge, her hands cupped around a clay bowl she dips gently beneath the surface. She lifts it, watching as the sunlight dances in the water she's gathered, and you see the soft pride in her eyes. She smiles as you pass, the simple beauty of her work glowing in the morning light. The path leads you on, the Chinampas stretching out in every direction like green fingers reaching for the sky. The city of Tenochtitlan has long since been replaced by Mexico City, its towers and roads rising above the water's memory, but here, in the heart of the old lake, the past still breathes. You can almost hear it in the quiet lap of water against the wooden frames, in the gentle creak of boats moving through the canals. A man pulls past in a slender canoe, his boat piled high with baskets of fresh produce. He smiles at you, the lines of his face crinkling in the bright light. "The lake still feeds us," he says, his voice warm and sure. "Even after all these years." You nod, feeling the truth of it settle into your chest like the slow warmth of the sun. Historians still argue whether the Chinampas can truly survive in this modern world of cars and concrete. Some say they're relics, nothing more than a memory of a time long gone. But as you watch, the farmers tend their rows of maize and beans, their hands sure and patient, you know better. The Chinampas are alive, stubborn, and beautiful, and the lake that cradles them will always have a place for their quiet dreams. You walk on, the scent of water and green life rich in the air. A small boy runs past you, his bare feet slapping softly on the wooden planks. He carries a bundle of herbs in his arms, his laughter ringing out like a bright bell. You smile at him, your own step lighter for his joy. Even here, where the past and present blur together, life goes on green and bright and full of promise. You come to a place where the water widens again, the canal opening out like a silver mirror beneath the sky. In the distance, you see the towers of the modern city, their glass walls catching the sun and turning it to fire. The contrast is sharp concrete, and steel rising above the soft hush of water and willows. But here, in the quiet of the Chinampas, you feel a gentle defiance in every green leaf, every soft ripple of water against the roots. A fringe tidbit drifts through your thoughts. Some of the farmers here still use the old tools, their wooden paddles worn smooth by generations of hands. You watch one of them now, an old man with eyes like polished obsidian, his paddle dipping in slow, even strokes as he guides his canoe through the maze of green. His movements are as old as the lake, as sure as the sun that warms the water, and you feel a quiet awe at the simple poetry of it. You pause to watch a woman tending a row of chilies, her hands gentle as she plucks the bright red pods from the green stalks. She glances up at you, her smile soft and knowing. "The lake gives if you're patient," she says, her voice low and musical. "It always has." You nod, the words a soft echo of everything you've seen tonight: patience and quiet faith woven into each floating garden, each breath of green life. The air is warm and sweet, the scent of crushed herbs and fresh earth blending with the faint tang of the lake. You breathe it in deeply, feeling it settle into you like the slow sigh of the water itself. The Chinampas stretch out around you, a living tapestry of green and gold, each plot a small miracle held aloft by the patient breath of the lake. You pass a small shrine built into the roots of an ancient willow, the clay figure at its heart worn smooth by countless hands. A few bright marigolds lie at its base, their petals vivid against the dark earth. You pause to touch the cool clay, the rough texture grounding you in this moment, this place where past and present meet in quiet, stubborn beauty. The city looms in the distance, but here, in the hush of the Chinampas, you feel the soft promise of continuity of roots that reach deep, of green life that endures. You smile, your step slow and sure, and let the soft breath of the lake carry you forward, deeper into this gentle dream of floating gardens and endless water. And so you walk on, the sun warm on your face, the water cool at your side. Each step is a quiet promise, each breath a soft prayer to the lake and the green life it cradles. In this place of water and soil, of patient hands and quiet dreams, you find a peace that hums beneath your skin, as sure and steady as the pulse of the lake itself. The sun has reached its gentle climb, and the lake shimmers with quiet life beneath its rays. You walk slowly now, your feet moving to the rhythm of water and soft soil, each step a gentle parting of the green hush that surrounds you. The Chinampas stretch out in every direction, their edges blurred by the shimmer of heat rising from the dark earth. You come to a small bend in the canal where a woman tends her garden, her hands deep in the soft, wet soil. She hums as she works, her voice low and warm, and you pause to watch her. The water laps at the edge of the Chinampa, a quiet breath that seems to echo her song. You smile as you pass, feeling the gentle strength in her every motion, the simple grace of someone who knows the lake and its moods. The water glitters as you walk on, the sky a soft blue that seems to hold the promise of another day. The farmers move like ghosts through the early heat, their laughter low and bright, their voices weaving into the warm air. You hear the slap of water against the boats, the creak of wooden paddles, the soft murmur of green life waking to the sun. A man poles his canoe past you, his back straight, his eyes calm as he guides his boat through the narrow waterway. He nods as he passes, a silent greeting, and you nod back, the moment brief but full. Here, in this floating world, every small gesture feels like a prayer, a promise that the lake's breath will carry them forward. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and green things. You breathe it in deeply, the sweetness of it filling you with a quiet wonder. You pause to watch the bees drift lazily among the squash blossoms, their hum a soft song that lingers in the warm air. A fringe tidbit flickers through your mind. Some believe that the bees here carry the soul of the lake itself, their flight, a quiet promise that life will always find its way. You pass a shrine half hidden among the willows, its clay figures smiling beneath crowns of marigolds. You pause to touch the cool earth, your fingers tracing the worn features of the small idols. Historians still argue whether these shrines were only for the gods of water or for the spirits of the lake itself. You like to think it's both, after all. Here, the line between the sacred and the everyday is as thin as a breath. The city of Mexico City looms in the distance, but it feels far away now, a dream of glass and concrete beyond the hush of water and green life. Here, the past drifts close, held in every ripple of water, every sigh of wind through the maze. You can almost see the ghosts of the old empire in the quiet shadows farmers, traders, priests saw part of the soft, endless dance of this place. You pause to watch a girl gather herbs at the edge of a chinampa, her hands quick and sure as she works. She looks up at you with a smile, her eyes bright as the sun, and you smile back, feeling a warmth bloom in your chest. Here, in this simple moment, you see the quiet strength that holds the Chinampas aloft, a promise that endures in every green shoot and every breath of water. The air is warm now, the sun high and soft on your skin. You walk on, each step slow and gentle, the hush of the Chinampas wrapping around you like a soft blanket. The water sighs at your side, the green life of the floating gardens reaching for the sky in a quiet, stubborn prayer. You come to the edge of the lake, where the water meets the earth in a soft, shifting line. You pause there, your toes sinking into the cool mud, and you close your eyes, breathing in the scent of it all, the lake, the earth, the quiet breath of life that hums in every leaf and every ripple. You feel a soft peace settle over you, the kind that speaks in the language of water and green things. And so you stand there, the water lapping softly at your feet, the green hush of the Chinampas breathing around you. In this quiet world of floating gardens and endless water, you find a calm that feels as deep and endless as the sky itself. The day has grown soft and golden, the sun's warmth gentle on your skin as you stand at the edge of the lake. You close your eyes and let the hush of the water wash over you, each ripple a small promise of peace that settles deep in your chest. The world around you slows, the hum of bees, the rustle of green leaves, the quiet murmur of water, all blending into a gentle lullaby. You breathe in the scent of damp earth and warm sunlight, the air rich with the sweetness of growing things. Each breath is slow and deep, a soft sigh that carries away the last fragments of the day's noise. The Chinampas float around you, their green life a testament to patience and quiet care, each leaf a whisper of the lake's endless promise. The city's distant murmur fades to nothing, and all that remains is the soft rhythm of water and the quiet beat of your own heart. The floating gardens cradle you in their gentle sway, the sun dipping low, its light turning the water to soft gold. You feel the weight of the night settling in, the world around you soft and full of promise. As the sky deepens to dusk, you let your mind drift like the canoes that glide through the canals, each stroke a gentle hush that carries you deeper into rest. Here, in this place of water and green, of patience and soft breaths, you find a peace that holds you close. Let it wrap around you like the soft whisper of the lake, a promise that in this moment you are safe and still, floating gently in the quiet breath of the earth. End of script. Sweet dreams.